Hey, everybody. Welcome to our spooky edition of PJamma Life. And I'm PJamma. And today we have some really good, scary, spooky movies, including Halloween Kills. We'll talk about what our favorite Halloween or scary movies are, and then the really scary impeachment. So, joined today by my two spooky friends. Say hey to the people, Pat.
Hey, everybody. Glad you're here. Got some great stuff to talk about tonight.
Mm-hmm. And how about the guy who completed the Kessel run in 12 parsecs?
Yeah. Thank you for remembering that.
David.
Thank you for remembering that. Happy Halloween, everybody. I hope you're looking forward to this fantastic night just like we are. So get your cup of cider and get your jack-o'-lanterns out and let's talk some spooky Halloween stuff.
Let's talk about it. And so our first up is the new version of Halloween 2 called Halloween Kills on Peacock.
Maybe we'll find him tomorrow or next Halloween when the sun sets and someone is alone.
You kids see anyone walking around in a white mask?
It's Halloween. Everyone's wearing a mask.
Oh, look, there he is.
Oh, hello! Hello!
It's Halloween night in Haddonfield, when terror is supposed to be fun.
Oh, another great face from the 80s. Pat, why don't you talk about Halloween Kills?
Oh, what can I say about this fabulous movie? It was horrible. It was terrible. I couldn't care. I didn't care if people were getting killed. Michael Anthony Hall, it was interesting to see him again. That was the bright spot in the movie. The seeing, as you said, the familiar face from the 80s come back. A little bit rougher for the wear, but that's okay. It's so all of us are. Yeah, it just
speak for yourself.
it was okay. It felt to me like it was just a rehash of the same tired tropes that we do in every one of these slasher movies. As a whole, the genre is very it's like a kabuki dance. You have to have this element and this element, and we got to have this element, and it just seems to be a horribly formalized dance that we do with the horror movies, with these slasher movies in particular, where they have very, very overused tropes, and it was okay, I guess. I mean, I felt like I lost a little bit of my life, but it wasn't like as bad as Mortal Kombat. So there we go.
That is the hallmark of Mortal Kombat for us.
Well, it is. It is kind of the benchmark for bad movies.
All right.
So that yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was done.
Okay.
I said what I had to say about that movie.
Okay. David, what did you think?
Well, I liked it better than Pat did. I am not a huge fan of horror movies. I'll say that right off top. But I kind of like this reboot of it compared to, say, what we were doing with the Halloweens there for a while. I think, one of those kids, that was Friday the 13th. You get them mixed up. But I think this one was better. I love to see Jamie Lee Curtis. I'm a big, big fan of Judy Greer. I think that she is she's in a lot of things, and she's been a bit of a character actress. but she's been able to show like a tougher side with this particular set of films. Mm-hmm. So I enjoyed seeing her. And again, I think, Jamie Lee Curtis, it's just great to have her back in a film. And I loved what they did with the first reboot. But I thought this was a nice second round telling of this story. But I got to tell you, these guys don't die. That's the craziest thing about all of these movies. Dude, sign those guys up and like send them to Mogadishu and Kabul and Hanoi City, because we do not lose a war if we send those guys into combat. So,
well, that's how you get zombies, right? The government tries to
replicate something like this,
movie. And then you get zombies, and then you can't control them. So that's not good.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm the low voice. I liked it because I think that it was a nice through line, because what I decided to do was watch the original Halloween, then the 2018 Halloween, and then this one. And so it was a nice callback to the past. So you saw some of the characters, which I was super excited to see Kyle Richards come back as Lindsay. And the boy who played Tommy was the guy who played Tommy back in the original movie. And so, some of those callbacks to those characters I thought was really good. And I like the way that they kind of structured this. It still had callbacks to Halloween 2 as well, the original Halloween 2. And so you kind of got that nice kind of nostalgia between the movies that I thought it was a much better story. And John Carpenter said, the original was written by him and Deborah Hill. And unfortunately, Deborah Hill had passed away in the early 2000s. And she was amazing. She did The Thing, and she did Escape from New York and Escape from LA. I mean, she was an amazing producer and writer. And she and him wrote the first one, and he didn't want to direct another sequel. So he wrote the second original Halloween 2. And so with this one, he was able to write the story he wanted to tell in both of the modern versions. So that's why I think the quality of writing was better. I thought the cinematography was really great in this one, and the reboot, the first reboot. And so I thought it was a lot better than I expected to be. I'm with you, David. This is not my genre. I don't really like horror genre. Yeah. But as far as the genre goes, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. So I thought that this was one, and it's on the new Peacock. And so I thought that was a nice kind of launch for them to have this one on there. So I definitely think we kind of have a mixed review. 2 of us liked it a little more than the other one. So, definitely not for kids, parents. This is not for kids. No. I don't know what you're doing if you let your kid watch this, but I snuck in movies and watched all kinds of stuff at that age. So, but don't sit there and watch it with your kid. It's rough. So, I think you should check it out and see what you think. And I think that that's the way horror is. Sometimes you either like the genre and appreciate it, or it's just not your cup of tea. But while we're talking about Halloween and scary movies, we're going to get into Halloween with our picks for some of our favorite Halloween movies. And so why don't we start with, let's see, who wants to go first? Or I'll pick. Pat, you want to talk about your favorite?
I can talk about my movies if you'd like me to. Yes.
Okay.
5 movies we had to pick. that we love, and in no particular order. And I didn't just go straight scary movies because, for the most part, scary movies are pretty predictable. And as you say, the genre is not for everybody, and I have never found much appreciation in the horror genre. I found I like a lot of suspense movies, but the horror genre is just wildly predictable. Uh, and I have one honorable mention too that I'll put in there because it's delightful. My first movie I like to talk about is The Shining, the Stanley Kubrick version. Such a good movie. God, that's such a great movie. I mean, it doesn't have a lot of the jump scares. It has really weird suspenseful things that happen into it throughout the whole thing. Stanley Kubrick is he was a living legend. Now he's a dead legend, but he was a legendary director that his stuff was, God, it was just gorgeous. I mean, there's the one shot I can remember. Jack Nicholson sitting in the library typing out "all work and no play makes Jack a very dull boy" over and over again. And then there's this long shot that they start at the top of the rafters, and they come into him. And it's like a 2-minute shot, and you can just see the crazy and just the way this thing builds. It's not a jump scare; it's a wonderful, suspenseful filled, just slowly coming into this thing. And I mean, that's how you do it. And I mean, there was violence at the end. It was scary because it was kind of startling, but man, this thing just builds, and it was so good.
And Shelley Duvall, I think that's her name, Shelley Duvall.
Yeah.
She doesn't get enough credit for portraying somebody who's slowly watching her loved one just descend into madness, and you're isolated, and you're a woman, and what do? When she's swinging that bat, and trying to get him, but he's like, it was just so, you felt the dread
and the isolation, utter isolation in this big hotel.
Yeah, the Overlook Hotel. I think it's still around. And
we went to it this summer. It's
cool.
Delightful.
Yeah,
it's still there, and it's in the room where Stephen King, wrote the book. They showed us the room because that's where we got the idea for the room for room 217, which is a big deal in the movie. With the woman getting out of the bathtub and just terrifying. Slow jump. There was very few jump things. And it had that stupid humor in the middle of it too. Here's Johnny through the door, and stuff. I mean, just so good. And Jack Nicholson, of course, is just everything he does crazy. Him and Dennis Hopper are the best at doing crazy. So good at crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, second movie. Totally different type of thing. And this one came out when no one knew what was going on. This is one of the first viral marketing campaign movies, and you didn't know what was real. The Blair Witch Project, one of the most profitable movies ever made because it didn't cost them hardly anything to make. But they did this movie, and the way they built it through the internet and everything, you didn't know if it had that found footage thing to it. And what was so god dang scary about this thing is that you never see anything.
Yes.
Your imagination is, and I've said this about every well done horror movie, scary movie, they don't show you the villain because your imagination is 10 times scarier than anything that John Carpenter or any of these other directors are going to come up with, because I know what scares me much better than they know. They're going to try to get something that's going to hit, shotgun hit everybody as much as possible to scare him. But man, that thing, the way they did it, the terror, and I was still camping out a lot then too. So the next couple campouts were a little nervous after watching them. I swear to God, I walked in on my wife at the time, and she jumped about 3 feet off the couch when I opened the door because it just sucks you in. It was incredible at the time. I know everybody knows it's fake. All these actors and actresses are still running around. Yes, but man, when that came out, they did it in such a way that you didn't know it was fake, which made it even scarier than anything I've seen.
Yeah.
And when I saw it, I remember I saw it with a couple friends, and we unfortunately happened to be in the spot in the theater where the light kind of shined down on it. So I was never able to really connect with it as super scared because the lights were kind of on. And so it didn't kind of scare me as if you watch it in total darkness.
Oh,
then
yeah.
you really, if you hear anything, it's like, what's happening? So, but yeah, that's a good pick. Next up.
Oh, yeah. It was fine.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
You're kind of frozen.
He's petrified. He's petrified with fear. Look at it.
Okay,
Sorry.
now he's back.
Wow, that was weird. Okay, yeah.
Uh-oh.
It's probably my internet. Yeah, what are we going to do?
Or it could
Okay.
be the Blair Witch.
It could be. The next movie I talk about, Pan's Labyrinth. It was a really big movie 7 or 8 years ago. God, you want to talk about a visually stunning horror movie. It wasn't technically a horror movie, but Guillermo del Toro, this is where he broke onto the scene, and his vision for the creatures and everything, and it was just spooky as hell. I mean, it was a visual treat. I mean, it was in Spanish. I'd watched the dub version of it, not a big deal, but I mean, the fawn that he made and all the weird creatures and stuff.
Yeah.
Stupid scary. I mean, that's one of those ones.
Strange too. It was so.
I know.
Weird and different, but then it had a different kind of backstory to it too.
Oh yeah, it was the Spanish Civil War. There's all that going on, and it was a visual feast. Okay. Yeah. Last two, Rocky Horror Picture Show. Not technically.
I think we went to see it together at one point.
We probably did
with the acting and everything.
Oh God, yeah, it's a delight. The music, and I still listen to it. I still play it for my class during the Halloween season.
Oh,
there you go. Damn right I do. But great, Tim Curry at his height of his powers. Well, pretty close. I mean, he's done so much wonderful stuff. But that was his big entrance onto, and what an entrance it was
to American audiences.
I mean, delightful. I mean, you got Susan Sarandon's introduction, and everybody forgets that she was in this, and this is her big, and Barry Boswick. There's some people, Meatloaf. Who can forget Meatloaf?
Yeah.
But I mean, what a fun movie, and it's kind of Halloweeny, everybody's dressed up.
Transylvania.
Transylvania.
Planet Transylvania.
And my absolute this is probably my favorite Halloween movie of all time. The Nightmare Before Christmas.
I knew it.
It's so good. It's such a great movie. I mean, it's got Danny Elfman's incredible soundtrack. That was the first use of that particular stop animation style that Tim Burton really perfected in his studio. That's another visual treat, a totally different kind of visual treat, but what a visual treat, what can you say about it? It embodied it has social commentary on there, that how Christmas is always coming right. I mean, hell, Christmas stuff's up in the stores right now, and y'all know it if you've been in a store.
Yeah.
I mean, they got the Christmas aisles set now, and it's not even. And Halloween's tomorrow, and we still got Thanksgiving to get through,
Yeah. Well,
we're already on Christmas
stuff now because the stores are empty.
That's what they say, and I haven't had any problem buying anything yet. So here we are. Yeah. But love that movie, and Tim Burton's a genius on some things. I mean, you want to talk about having a vision and a distinctive stamp on a movie. That every one of his movies, you can tell within the first 15 minutes it's a Tim Burton movie, even if you weren't sure it was a Tim Burton movie. It's got that weird skewed thing to it, which is just so good in this movie. And I will tell you what my runner-up for a horror themed movie was Blade. God, it's the first. Was it a superhero movie or was it a vampire movie? It was a vampire movie when it first came out because they weren't. Yes, it was a Marvel property. It was a very second-rate, third tier property. It's gotten a lot bigger since then. but Wesley Snipes brought it in, and I'll tell you what, man, what a great action sequences.
Yeah.
Blade was a badass, and Michael Dorf was playing such a good evil vampire.
Yeah.
The leader of the other ones. So just to throw it in there as a throwaway one, that I really love that one. I couldn't fit it into
and
5,
the
though.
twist with Sanaa as the mother, and I was like, oh my gosh, I mean, that is like one of my favorites of the genre, the vampire genre, because people forget, without Blade, there probably wouldn't have been the Marvel universe, because the action sequences, the way it was done, really put Marvel on the map in terms of action movies, and got the whole thing kicked off. So yeah, Blade, solid choice. Honorable mention. Yeah. David, what you looking at?
Well, I tell you, for me, and as Pat's giving me some ideas here, I've got my list. I'm going to stick with my list, but he's saying things, and it's bringing things back to my mind. The biggest thing is one, how does one define like a horror movie? Because when we talk about the villain not being on screen, in my mind, I first went to Jaws. I don't want to call that a horror movie because it's nature, but one could argue with that, because there you don't see him until the end. And I mean, I think that's an amazing thing. I went with, again, films that have had a personal note to me. I could have gone cheesy, but I went with those that I really, really like. Starting with number 5 on my list, Scream 2, not Scream 1. I went with Scream 2. Although I think the Scream movies themselves, I think, is a fun take on the whole genre of the serial killer.
It is.
But I saw Scream 2 before I saw any of the others. And I saw Scream 2 with my wife. That was our first date. And then my nightmare began. No, just kidding. Just kidding. No, I mean, that was and I don't go to horror movies. So, but that was, she wanted to see that. We went to see that. And then 20 years later, here we are. So that was number 5. Number 4, to me, and you'll see some of the, I'm really influenced by a lot of the old school stuff. I went with Hitchcock's Psycho, the Anthony.
Classic.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Things you see, you don't see. The bigger name star, Janet Leigh, died early in this. So that was the thing. I saw this, the first time I saw it was in a community center on an old, and for those, if you don't know, schools use, they've used VHS tapes and they've used DVDs. They used to actually have real film. So imagine an old movie projector. I'm watching this in a community center. Someone goes up to get some popcorn and casts a shadow onto the screen. And those of us who hadn't seen Psycho think it's Anthony Perkins. No, it's a dude getting extra butter. But so Psycho is the next one for us. The next one was, and this one it was an amalgam of a lot of those great old Universal films. Abbott and Costello Meet the Wolfman. Frankenstein, Dracula.
That is a classic.
I love this movie. God. It won't scare you too bad unless you're Abbott and Costello. But you get all those great villains. Bela Lugosi, who embodies Dracula. Nobody did it better. There are a lot of great ones, but nobody did it better. The next one up, Friday the 13th, the original, where Kevin Bacon gets it. It took itself a little bit more seriously than some of the other cheesy ones as we went into outer space and all of that. This was a scary movie. And number 1, a movie within a movie, Shadow of the Vampire. Willem Dafoe as Nosferatu. This is just a beautiful movie of telling of how they made that great Nosferatu, that original movie. It was brilliant. Some of the best, we always think about Hollywood, and obviously India has Bollywood, but in those early years before World War I, German cinema was at the cutting edge. You had Metropolis which was a great sci-fi high horror thing. You had Nosferatu, where hey, they couldn't get the rights to Dracula, so they just called it Nosferatu, but same story. But it was amazing, and I love how Shadow of the Vampire does the movie in the movie. Willem Dafoe is fantastic in this role. It is just a perfect one. Honorable mention that I didn't give to our wonderful producer, I would say the updated first part of it with the little kids.
Oh, God, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That was scary. And
that movie made me scared of clowns for years. I was scared of clowns after that. With those dragging teeth, those pointy teeth, and the clown stuff. Oh, my God.
But those kids and the way that movie, they came together, that was just a beautiful retelling of that first part of the book. Love that Stephen King's It. So that's an honorable mention.
Once again, Tim Curry's popping up on the list.
He's in there. That's right.
Well, he was in the old one. He wasn't in the new one, though. Are you talking about the new one or the old one?
I'm talking about the new one. You're right. Tim Curry was in there as like one of the Skarsgård brothers.
Oh, you're talking about the new one.
Yeah, the new one's spooky as all hell.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
But still, Stephen King. There's two of us have hit Stephen King things so far.
Yeah.
That's a pattern.
Oh my goodness. So mine are, so I just kind of put them into categories. So for me, because there's so many that I've enjoyed over the years, and Vampire is one of my favorites. So I could have had a list of, 20 or 30 vampire movies I love. But so to start off, so I just looked at scary, and for like kind of a kind of weird one was Clive Barker's Hellraiser. Oh, that's still so scary when I watch it. It just, to this day, I usually try to pull it out for Halloween for a good scare, because I'm still scared and I can't believe what my eyes are seeing, the production. And I just finished the book, the short story, The Hellbound Heart, which it's based off of, which it stays pretty close to the source material from Clive Barker. But just the introduction of this new kind of the Cenobites were just totally new to me when I first watched it. It's so evil, but yet there's conversations that go on with these demons and negotiations. And the villainess, who pops up, she's just, that actress is amazing. And then, that started me really enjoying the Hellraiser series till they got really stupid. But the original Hellraiser, I still love Hellraiser 2. And then another one that got Arthur Smithy or Alan Smithy, the director took his name off. Hellraiser Bloodline, which is kind of the prequel, and then it's vampires in space. I was just loving it. I just thought it was great. So next, my all-time scariest vampire movie to me is once again from the master Stephen King, Salem's Lot.
Oh, yes.
Remember when you saw that as a kid, and there was a mini-series? And you were terrified.
I think they're remaking it right now too.
Are they really?
Yeah, well, right now, Castleweight, I think that's what it's called, or
Castle Rock.
Rock.
No, not Castle Rock. Chapelweight on I think it's HBO Max. That is the story of Jerusalem's Lot, which Stephen King did a short story on as well. And it's kind of the prequel to Salem's Lot. And so definitely check those short stories out. That one's, Jerusalem's Lot is in his book Night Shift. And then, Salem's Lot is its own. But Salem's Lot, were you not terrified to go to sleep when you saw that? And then the ending, it's not like a Hollywood happy ending. I mean, the vampires just are running things. And it is so creepy and scary and terrifying. So I love that one. And then for zombies, now y'all know I don't like zombies until I watched Train to Busan. And that to me is South Korean. It's by the director who did Parasite. And it's full of twists and turns. It's incredible. It's amazing. It's scary because it takes place on a train. The majority of a movie, they're trying to get away from people who become zombies on a train, and you could see the infection kind of flowing through people and people having, and then that contained space of a train. It's just terrifying. Now I'm kind of like, do I want to get on the train after that? So Train to Busan is incredible, and they did a sequel called Peninsula in kind of the same universe, which is still pretty good for the genre, but Train to Busan is the best zombie movie to me of all time. And then the classic slasher Halloween. I liked it. Back in the day, I think I saw it with on a date or something with this boy who was real dumb, and it was super scary. And then having to now see the remakes, that whole kind of set of movies to me are just fantastic. So definitely in the slasher genre, Jamie Lee Curtis and, Kyle Richards. If you all watch TV like me, she's on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And so,
is that really TV though?
To see her, kind of take the role again after being on The Real Housewives since the beginning. Right. And she actually is a Hilton. So it's kind of interesting. I just like that little factoid. But then my final pick, and I have an honorable mention too, which you guys probably can guess, is the final pick for me I just snuck in a duel, is Omen and the Exorcist.
Ooh. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, you talk about as a kid being terrified. We went with my grandmother to see The Exorcist.
Oh my God, your grandma took you to that?
My grandma took us to it. It was so, I'm like, now looking back, I'm like, why did grandma take us to that? But oh my gosh, that movie was super scary.
Yeah.
And terrifying. And then the Omen, oh my gosh. Even back then, I think I read the book and then I saw the movie, but it was super scary. This demonic child and born into this family. And when the lady, his governess, said everything's for you, and then she jumped off the building and hung herself, and then you see the look on the little kid's face of a little smirky smile. Oh, it was just so scary and creepy, and still gives me the creeps. And
they were terrifying.
Oh my gosh. And Electric Melanin, is on, and they said thinking of The Exorcist still creeps her out. So if you haven't seen some of these movies, man, you missing out. But my honorable mention is, can you guys guess? It's a recent. No.
Recent?
Yep. It's
Mortal
now
Kombat.
in the TV show. What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, okay. All right. I got you. That's a fair one.
I just saw it last year, and I can watch this movie over and over and over and still laugh at all of the parts. It's got to be one of the most, it was really original to me as well, using a mockumentary style to go and live in the lives of these three kooky vampires and their their new friend. It is one of the funniest of the vampire genres I think that's out there. And definitely a lot. It's just so creative and weird by Taika Waititi, and just really to me showed his comedic side, but also some really interesting ways he looks at the world. So just fantastic. And Electric Melanin thought about Squid Game. So Squid Game. It's definitely, I don't even know what you would put it in. Do you put it in thriller or suspense or?
Probably in the suspense category. Probably suspense, yeah. Especially at the end, because it's a who done it. Not to give a spoiler away.
Kind of. Yeah, it just crosses so many
lot of stuff.
genres, and does it so excellently to introduce.
It's amazing. I mean, it's a great example of look beyond your own. Look beyond your own Hollywood or whatever for great stories and originality, because that was mesmerizing and brilliant. We can talk about it, even more. It was great.
Yeah, and each episode, was something that just kind of blew your mind.
Yeah.
And to me, that movie kind of was genre busting in terms of financial desperation, like Electric Melanin said. Just like Get Out was genre busting in terms of using race and horror and bringing horror noir to the forefront. And there's been other ones that kind of tripped the genre on its head that I'm always excited to see, and I hope you all too. So definitely we'll put it up in the YouTube page of what were the favorites, and then send us your favorites and we listen. But I think the batch of movies that we talked about were all super fantastic, and definitely will give you a scare for tomorrow night, where you please give the kids candy in socially distanced bags if you would like. But don't be that person who turns the lights out and doesn't give kids candy, and you sit up
children
there and eat
love
a bag
fruit.
of candy yourself.
Just remember, children really love fruit.
Fruit.
That is a great, hey, it can't all be treat, Pam. You can have a little trick in there as well. A little box of raisins or prunes.
Disappointing thing.
Box of raisins was always my favorite. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
What was your favorite?
That would make candy corn the highlight.
Oh, what was your favorite and worst Halloween candy?
Oh, the peanut butter kisses are trash. Trash. Those black and red things are just like chewy, gross peanut buttery things.
No, that's not peanut butter. That's not Reese's.
No. That's just the generic.
Wet paper with the.
That's the ones. They're trash. That and candy corn trash.
What's your favorite?
Best Snickers, man. You get Snickers. That was a hell of a deal, man. That's the house you want to go back to 2 more times until they remember you.
Yeah. How about you, David?
Well, I'm a pretty bland, boring kind of with a palate. So my favorite would have been just your regular, just the little Hershey bars, maybe a Milky Way.
Oh my God.
Little Hershey's. That was my favorite. And I would have to say my least favorite was anything with nuts, because I didn't want any kind of nuts in my chocolate. I want my nuts separate from my chocolate. So, and obviously the nightmare that still haunts me are those box of raisins that people would.
Oh God, yeah.
So this is why I mentioned it today. If I have a horrible Halloween, so do you.
Yeah, mine were those circus peanuts. Oh, those were
They're pretty bad
gross.
too. Yeah,
I can't stand those things.
Yeah.
That's just dumb. Don't give your kids circus peanuts. They're horrible. We used to throw them at each other and try.
What about candy corn?
I like candy corn.
Trash.
I like the pumpkins better.
Trash.
I like pumpkins better, but I don't mind. What I do is
Trash.
I bite them and then I throw away the white top part and then
Okay.
just eat the orange and the green part. I just
Like
but
there's
the
any
pumpkins,
difference at all.
I
Tastes
love.
the same.
No, they don't.
All
The
right,
white
so we've got a
part is
trash
nasty.
and a smash on the
Yeah.
candy corn. Okay.
But
All
my
right.
favorite was of course anything Mars, but I liked peanut M&Ms or Snickers or I also liked when you get the little boxes of hot tamales.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those
or Starburst. Oh,
Yeah.
Those
especially
are
the
pretty good.
red
So you
Starburst.
try to mix them together and eat them,
Yeah.
like on
Yeah,
the lemon
then
one
you
and
would
lime
eat
one
'em.
together. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Chocolate cigarettes. I love the pack
I
of
didn't
chocolate.
know
It
chocolate
came in, it looked
cigarettes.
like a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah.
It was a wonderfully delicious rolled milk chocolate into the silhouette of a cigarette.
Man, these kids today do not know the tortured marketing we used to get.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? I loved candy cigarettes, and my parents smoked. So I really thought that I was doing something with a candy cigarette. What a mess. But that, and there were some other things that we were exposed to as kids that we should not have been exposed to, or just straight sugar like Fun Dip.
Oh God, yes. Oh my God. Fun dip.
Sugar
Well,
with
that
the
was like that was.
candy. But I love the little candy stick. I like the candy stick better than the Fun Dip. But and Pixie Sticks, especially the
Just pure
jumbo.
sugar.
It's just pure sugar. It's no wonder any of us had teeth growing up. After what we had to eat.
The stuff, oh my God, just pure sugar. Yes, I forgot about Pixie Sticks. And I see Electric Melon loved Junior Mints. That's my favorite movie candy, by the way. Junior Mints is the best for movies. But I always get the damn thing is I can't pace myself. I'll have the whole box ate before the previews are over.
Oh,
so
no.
yeah.
Oh man.
Now for
Well, those are pretty big boxes too now.
Well, no, they're not as big as you think anymore.
So like and top them up and just pour them in your mouth as opposed to just eat them one by one. I do that with goobers. I love goobers in the theater with my popcorn and my Arizona tea. Don't tell them, but I love Arizona tea in the theater. So I sneak it in. But I don't like all that pop. So, but man, that's a fun discussion we had. And thanks to Electric Melanin, the favorite is Junior Mints.
That's where it's at.
But why don't we quickly talk about impeachment? We got to see okay, let's take a peek at impeachment real quick.
We need you and Bill to go on 60 Minutes together.
No, I do not think that's a good idea.
Well, that way every person in the country will be able to see it with their own eyes.
See what exactly?
You've said that your marriage has had problems.
This is personal to us. It has nothing to do with our country.
A lot of people in this country are talking about the nature of the relationship between your husband and Monica Lewinsky.
I really have to say, there is a larger problem here that no one is discussing, and it concerns me. Ken Starr's investigation. He has spent 4 years and $30 million doing everything possible to accuse my husband of a crime.
What is with this softball bullshit? Certain intimacies?
What do you suggest, Kavanaugh?
If Monica Lewinsky says that you ejaculated into her mouth on 2 separate occasions, would she be lying? If Monica Lewinsky says that you masturbated into a trash can in your secretary's office, would she be lying?
We need to be respectful.
Hit him between the eyes.
Brett, we don't even know if the DNA is a match.
It's a match.
Oh, yeah!
Now, I gotta say, this is just so distasteful, the whole thing. And it just showed how low they were willing to go. I mean, I thought they showed Clinton doing the testimony in front of the grand
deposition
jury.
was delightful.
That was awesome, and I remember watching it.
It depends what is. And I was like,
this is awesome because he made it a farce like it was. And I mean, and I thought that was a good point that she made, that this is a personal matter that needs to be discussed with our family. And that's the way I felt. I kind of felt at the time that if she left him, I wasn't supporting him. If she stayed with him, I would support, because that's their business. That's their personal family business. Yeah. And I love when they show what a jerk off that Brett Kavanaugh, which it was interesting years later. Look what you saw with Brett Kavanaugh. So, very interesting. But what did you all think?
Painful.
I thought.
Oh, go ahead, Patrick. Patrick, go ahead.
I actually watched it this week, and I had a chance to see it, and I have to say, Edie Falco is getting much better at Hillary. I see Hillary in her quite well now. Mm-hmm. And Clive is getting a little bit more Billish. I'm seeing they're getting more comfortable in their roles.
Yeah.
I see them, really sinking into it. And and I loved the deposition. It was the funniest thing I've seen in a month of Sundays, because they thought they were the smartest men in the room, and they did not realize that, Bill Clinton's pretty damn smart. He was a Rhodes Scholar. He's kind of a smart guy, and he's married to a really smart woman. You put the two of them together, and you got a bad deal. The conversation she has with the guy who was giving her the birthday party, about he tries to tell the funny story about how some old boyfriend, aren't you glad you're married to the president of the United States? And you know what you said? Yeah, if I married him, he'd be the president of the United States. Boom. It's probably true, though. I'm just telling you, she knew it. I'm still a little salty about, the election a few years back, but, this is a good example. She was kind of smart. And Bill was pretty damn smart, too. And they put him in against these other fairly smart, I suspect, people. But you know what? They thought they had it. No, I'm greased up. You ain't going to grab me, buddy. It was hilarious. I loved it. It was good this time.
And use their own words against them. Right. And so that, it was just ridiculous. So, but I really also and David, jump in here. You really got to see how close him and Vernon really were too. It wasn't just kind of buddies for expedience. They were friends, for real friends.
And the loyalty Clinton had with certain people, it was real. I remember on his way out, on the inauguration of President Bush, and seeing they did the split screen, and you saw all the people from the 8 years of the Clinton administration, at the tarmac, as he's speaking goodbye, and you see all of those people. So many of them you knew because of this whole thing with Monica Lewinsky. Yeah, no, I thought that was an amazing thing. But yeah, they were real friends. There was a true connection there, for better or worse.
Yeah. What do you think, David?
Again, I thought it was painful. This was really the episode where I think Edie Falco got a chance to shine.
Yeah.
And this was before, we saw some moments, and that Hillary's there, and this talk about the looming presence you can't see, but everybody can feel. That's what she's been kind of building up to. She was great in this role. I think brought Hillary to life in some ways, shows her intelligence, shows her confidence, and how that confidence was, and probably a little bit of arrogance, but how that was not necessarily well received by many of the American public. But I thought it was great to see her in this. And she got up there. I remember that speech that she gave, or not speech, the interview she gave, where it was like the vast right-wing conspiracy. And it sounds a little paranoid, but she was right.
Yeah.
She was right. Yeah. And here's the thing too, and this is for anybody in an investigation. If a group is set up to find fault, they are going to look until they can report back and say something, whether it's GAO, the FBI, whoever. They're gonna look and find something, just because that's their whole job. And so you saw, I mean, it went from Whitewater to this. Now, perjury's a big deal, but this is what you're hanging the president of the United States on, especially since no one was really focusing on the sexual harassment aspect.
Yeah, and you know that wasn't an uncommon thing that presidents have done, right? It was like, oh my God. But we know from history that, you know, there have been affairs in the White House, and, you know, this was the first time it was really blown up for, you know, the world to see, and then try to mask it as something that it wasn't.
Gary Hart lost the nomination,
right,
because of that too. So I mean, we did see kind of a trend.
Yeah.
But when you're on a boat called Monkey Business with your mistress, you're begging somebody to like make a big deal out of it.
Yeah, but that was politically driven too.
Oh, very much so.
You know, these things are most likely driven by, and then, but it also puts to, you know, Ken Starr trying to come off as so, you know, pious and all of this when, you know, the stuff he did wasn't right. And so, it was really interesting. I thought to see Clinton's desperation to keep Hillary, because for him, I think he really does love her, but he's a dog.
Wandered. He wandered.
He's a wanderer. So, you know, but some marriages have these kind of things, but they have been together since they were in their 20s or something like that.
I think a long time relationship.
Yeah, they met in college, and you could tell that she made him into the man he became in terms of, you know, from his background and her background. She was able to give him that polish and entry into places that he might not have gotten into on his own. And so they were a team. And so, you know, he broke the cardinal rule of their relationship was don't lie to me. You know, we have to be honest, but don't lie. And when he broke that and then put her out there, I was like, man.
Yeah. Well, and I think, but, you know, there was a partnership, a real partnership, and a good marriage is going to be that where you're together in this. But something that, you know, you can't win an election if people have had a bad impression of you, better, right or wrong, for 3 decades. You can't win an election when so many people have such negatives. And everything that she said, she was, and this isn't a great commentary on American society, she's a brilliant woman. She's a brilliant individual, but her tone, the Tammy Wynette comment, the bacon cookies thing, all of those things were kind of used and turned against her, and it didn't put her in the best light.
Yeah. And you know, people don't like, I mean, I'll say maybe people don't agree, but people don't like confident, self-assured, like in your face, intelligent women. They kind of, you know, they would rather someone be more ladylike, you know, self-deprecating, you know, not in your face, you know. Hey, there's Tim Windsor. Hey, Tim Windsor.
Hey, Tim.
You know,
but she was in your face politically though with the I'm not here baking cookies. I'm not Tammy Wynette.
I mean, can you imagine a guy saying, I'm gonna do this cookie recipe for No. And I think she didn't get how offensive that could be. But some of that is just politics. But some of it is.
But I mean, that was real though.
People just don't like her. For whatever reason, they just don't like her.
Well, that's one of the comments. It's like, people deep down, people want to elect people that are great individuals. They're looking for something that's awe-inspiring. The what the hope and the intelligence that Barack Obama portrayed, what the idealism and future that JFK talked about, the courage that FDR instilled. But when you go like, I'm better than you, and you're, it just came across bad with the stand with your man and the cookies and those things. People people took it and they made her more of a villain than that. But but that level of arrogance, it's not a way to win people. Her husband could win people.
If it's arrogance, I wouldn't call it arrogance,
right.
But it's people don't like you to be that blunt, and people don't like you to be, as a woman, you're not supposed to act like that. That's a big thing. She
was the first to actually break through the social mores and not behave ladylike. Right. She behaved as competent as she was, and if people didn't like that, she just didn't give a shit.
Right.
And people got upset about that. That's what it boiled down to, and it didn't fit. And unfortunately, our current political system isn't about electing competent individuals. It's about electing likable individuals or people that you think are cool or they represent. I mean, the idea of all these, I've seen, several celebrities talking about runs for the White House. Why? You have no business being in the White House.
Right. Now here is the thing. She is a very intelligent woman, and based on those experiences, very qualified. But she was two things that she wasn't two things that you just said. One, likable, and other, she wasn't elected. She wasn't elected at this point. She wasn't Senate confirmed. And for better or for worse, anybody who's exercising that large a role over American policy and going to be public about it, kind of need to be Senate confirmed if they're not going to win an office. I mean, President Woodrow Wilson's wife, when she was running the country.
She ran the country.
She was running the country. We didn't know it, but she was running it. The fact that they were touting Hillary in such a way.
Nancy Reagan, made a lot of decisions during that time too.
And her astrologer did too, which is really cool.
There's precedent for it, but she was the one who said, look, we're a team.
Well, it was out there.
And people didn't like that. That's the thing, is people didn't like it. And but Hillary, if you ever I get a chance to meet you, I like you, so but it's some sexism that goes on that doesn't allow women to fully have a voice. And I just thought this episode was really good about showing some of the machinations behind it, and then some of the personal stuff that a marriage has to endure, and they had to endure. I mean, this would be the most horrific thing ever. The worst thing in your life is on public display and on trial. That is horrible for
a joke for the whole country. Late night TV, Saturday Night Live.
You work your whole life to be taken seriously, and in one swoop, all of it's gone.
Yeah, gone.
So that she was able to come back from that also speaks to her strength too, that many people would have never come back, let alone run for president of the United States. But listen to when she talks. She speaks truth but she doesn't couch it in a way that a lot of people want to hear it.
No.
So, but a really great episode. Woo! We've been on for quite a bit. I thought this was going to be a small discussion, but it was a super interesting episode. So, let's say goodnight. It's a spooky night. And thanks for our viewers who came and watched with us. Say goodbye to the people, Patrick.
Everybody, you have a good Halloween. Do safe stuff and don't drink and drive.
Thank you. David?
Just want to say thanks for joining us. May you have more treats than tricks in your candy bag tonight and tomorrow.
And I'll say, a friend of mine said they were going to have socially distanced Halloween bags. What a great idea. So you can be safe, the kids can be safe, and have fun. Do it safely. Don't drink and drive. But most importantly, be kind to people out there and show them the better part of Halloween, which is fun and love and caring and sharing. And so we'll see you next time, which we will watch for next week. We will have The Harder They Fall, the Idris Elba Western movie with Regina King on Netflix. Army of Thieves, the prequel to Army of the Dead. I don't know about that one. Next, it's going to be on Netflix. Only Murders in the Building with Steve Martin and Martin Short and Selena Gomez on Hulu. And we'll begin to wrap up Impeachment. I think it's the penultimate episode for Impeachment. So we'll see you next time on PJamma Live. Boo!
So long, everybody.